Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or evening or possibly morning, wherever you are. I'm sure a few more people are going to join us soon, but I thought we might as well get started because you have been prompt and you have joined on time, so it's not fair for us to waste your time. So I'm going to get started. Today's session is around growing your team without growing your stress. But before I dive in, can I just check, can people see the screen that I'm sharing? It's just a title page.
Yep.
Fantastic, thank you. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining and for being here. And today is about growing your team, as it says on the screen there. But before we really get started, it'll be nice to just find out who is with us right now. So instead of going around everyone, quite happy for you to just put your details in the chat. That way anybody else that joins as well will be able to see. So if you can just put your name and maybe the location you're based at, if you can put that in the chat, then we'll know who's here, and we can get to know each other that way as well. In terms of myself, my name's Ola. I'm a coach. I coach founders and leaders, and a lot of the conversations that I have about how to deal with people, especially difficult people or people that have been a bit disappointed. And therefore, I thought I'll put together a session to talk to a lot of people about how to deal with people. And what I'm hoping to cover today, but I say hoping because I'd like you to also contribute and just take the conversation where you'd like it to go. But what I'm hoping to cover today is about how to bring people into your team, the sort of things that might make it difficult to manage them effectively, and also how to be sure that you can afford to have them on your team so that you feel confident that it's an investment, not a cost, and you're not wasting money. It'll be really, really helpful if you pop questions in the chat as we go along, because I want this to be as helpful for you as possible. So I might think that one thing is the main thing to talk about, but you might have a particular question that makes it even more useful. So if you ask those questions, we'll address them, and that might help other people to learn something new as well. So we're all training each other, it's not just me. Okay. Okay, I've only got 2 people put their stuff in the chat so far. So everybody else, hopefully you can put your information in the chat as well. And I will get started in terms of the presentation itself. Okay, so the whole point of this session is around being able to grow your business and ensure that it's scalable. And a lot of small businesses start off with great ideas about something that they can do that's really helpful, and people want it so they can earn money doing it, but then fall into a few traps. The first trap usually is wanting to do everything themselves, or trying to do everything themselves. Maybe not wanting to, but certainly trying to. And you end up working every single hour God sends and more, and burning out. There's usually very good, valid reasons why that happens. Money is tight because the business is fairly new, and also you're very, very attached to how you want the business to grow, and therefore you'd like to make sure that it's done the way you want it to be done, and that might be another reason to try and do everything yourself. But I've come across people that, that they're running a coaching business, but they're spending their time learning how to develop their own website, and learning how to be their own bookkeeper, and learning how to do Canva so that they can do their own social media. And they're spending all this time doing all these other ancillary things, and have no time left to do the coaching, which, begs the question, how will you ever grow this business if you're not actually doing what it is you're supposed to be doing, which is coaching? Before I keep going, has anybody here or found themselves in that trap, or perhaps know of anybody that they've seen, trying to do it all themselves? Yeah. Okay, I see you, I hear you, and I feel you, June, because that's where I started out in my early days. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. So that's one of the traps. And sometimes I'm assuming that everybody else on this call started off by thinking, okay, I'm going to put a team in place, and I'm going to make sure that I've got people to help me. And that is essentially what should happen, so that you can focus on what you do best, and other people can help you with the bits that are not necessarily your strengths, but they're important for the business to do. So you put a team in place. But this can lead to yet another trap, because the other type of business owner that I've come across that's struggling has been saying to me, well, I've got all these people, but I'm still doing all the work, because they just bring everything back to me, and they don't do it properly, or, and all of a sudden, yes, you've got people around you who are supposedly sharing the load, but you still end up doing all of the work. And part of that is probably because you have certain ideas about how you want it done, and you've made it very clear to people that if they don't do it your way, then they're wrong. And part of it is because you just haven't learned to let go. The thing about wanting everybody to do things your way is that, yes, you've got a very clear vision of where your business is going, but the problem with it is that means you can't actually let other people do their jobs. You will still be doing their jobs for them or with them. And at some point, you'll probably say to yourself, why do I even bother? I might as well just do it myself. And therefore, the business is not going to go where you want it to go, because you're spending all this money on people, you're not getting the results, you're not having the time to actually deliver the service that you said you're going to do. So again, you're back to square one. And how do you actually break out of that? And before I move on now, anybody got anything else that they see? I see someone else has just said they started that way as well. Anything anyone would like to contribute? Any examples anybody has seen before that anyone would like to contribute at this stage? Okay, in which case, in terms of strategizing and planning to bring people in, it is important to actually think clearly about who you need in your business, what sort of skills and aptitudes and attitudes you want them to have, and how you're going to work together. And the very first thing that I say to people, if we talk about it, is, well, why don't you first work out where you're spending your time? Because if you're too busy, then you're doing lots of things, but you need to know where you're spending your time and what bits are actually essential for the business, in terms of administrative type things, and what things are what I'd call fundamental. Fundamental, and by that I mean the things that make your business different. I'll use an example to describe this. I was working with a tutor once, and she was really struggling to bring more tutors in. Her initial conversation with me was she really wants to grow. And she believes that she needs to find more time to be able to tutor more people. And we then talked about, okay, how do you bring more tutors in so that you don't have to do it all yourself? You actually earn more if you have more people doing the tutoring. And when we really got down to it, it was that she didn't trust anybody else to do the tutoring the way she did it. So we had to take it back a step and understand why her tutoring was different to other tutors out there. And she described the way she felt about the sorts of children that she tutored. She worked mainly with special needs children. And she had done a lot of thinking about how these children are just as able and can do just as well. Maybe not getting A's, but they can certainly have a happy time in school if she actually provides the support that they need. And it turns out that what she really needed to do was to understand that philosophy and articulate that philosophy, and then use that to find tutors that shared her value about wanting to work with special needs children, having the same ethos in terms of their believing in them, believing in their ability to learn and to grow and to enjoy and all of that. And once she'd been able to understand that, what she was looking for was kindred spirits. She was looking for people that thought the same way she does about what she's trying to deliver, as opposed to just trying to find a tutor and then standing over them to make sure that they tutored in the same way as she does. So that's what I mean by understanding what is fundamental to your business. It's around knowing those differentiators. And once you've done that, basically what you're doing is a couple of things. You are understanding where your time is, and you are differentiating between the time that you're spending on admin type things, so necessary admin, your accounting, your maybe social media, unless you are a creator. Social media is probably an admin type thing. Maybe your let's try and think what else. There'll be lots of different things that are not fundamental to your business, but if you don't do them, you could get into trouble. If you don't post anything on social media, if you don't advertise, you're not going to get very far. But you're not doing that any differently to anyone else. If you don't do your accounting, if you don't pay your VAT or pay your tax, you'll get into trouble. But again, it's not fundamental. So those things, you understand how much time you're spending on them, and try as early as possible to get other people to do those things for you. Now, the other people doing those admin-y type necessary things for you, it's really up to you who you decide to get involved in those things, because those people have different ways of operating, and it's up to you to find out who you enjoy working with, who you don't enjoy working with. So for instance, if you're trying to get an accountant on board, there'll be some that will be very, very process-led, and they'll just say, if you put in your receipts here every week, I will give you a, a management account or that return at the end of a month or at the end of a quarter or whatever it is. And they barely talk to you, but you're happy with that because, you just want that thing done. And there are other bookkeepers that will try to understand your business so that they can give you more hints and tips, and you have a good conversation about where the business is going, and they might be able to help you think about what's going on with your finances as well. That is up to you. But that is very different to those people who are working with you on the things that are more sensitive to your business. So the first category of people that you start with when you're bringing people into your business are the people that are taking away those admin-y type tasks. And I'm going to come on to how we afford it in a moment. Once you've got rid of as much of the admin as possible, you have freed yourself up to do the special part of the business, the thing that really makes it interesting for you, what it is you love doing, whether it is teaching or coaching, creating. You have more time now to focus on doing that. When you get back, going back to those very, very fundamental items, the things that make it special, how do you decide the sort of person that you want to do that work with you? And I touched on it a few minutes ago, talking about that tutor who really tried to understand why she was special and look for people that shared those same values. And once you have those people with you, how do you then manage them? And before I go on, it'll be good to see if anybody has any thoughts about whether or not they've actually tried to find people that think the same way as they do in terms of growing their business, or is there anybody here that has outsourced anything that is admin based? Talk to me.
So it's June here. So sort of thinking on it and sort of looking at, for me, it's finance as well. It's trying to find those people that I can afford, but also it's when you're explaining to them sort of what your business is about, etc. I don't know whether it's because you want them to be as excited as you are about your business. Do you know what I mean? So you want them to be just as excited as you are. If you talk to people and you can see that they're on your same wavelength and they get what you're trying to do, I don't think it's so much about managing, because if they understand, then that goes halfway to you not really managing them, but them doing the things that they know that this is what they would want and this is what you would want. So you're going along the same lines. That makes it so much easier, when sort of letting go as well, because you know that they understand what your business is about. They understand where you're trying to take the business. And, so any ideas that they bring, as long as you're open to change, because I understand that some people just see it as, oh, well, this is the way I want it. But somebody might come up with a better idea of how to proceed in this, to get the same thing, objective, but do it in a different way. So there's all those things as well. And it is part of letting go because you started the business, but it's also about understanding that if you can find people that have the same ethos and same enthusiastic, and it's about your business, then it's easier to kind of let go and let them proceed,
Exactly.
That's my take on it anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when you find people that have a similar viewpoint to you, you can trust them, because you know that you are on the same wavelength. That's what you're on the same wavelength. So you know that they can get on with things without you having to, watch everything they do or second guess everything they might do, and it definitely does make things easier. But key to doing that is already in your mind, you know what makes you different. And that's, it's when you know that you can share that with someone else. Thank you so much.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, great. So one thing I thought I'd touch on before I leave this topic alone and move on to the money side of things is perfectionism. A lot of people feel like if it's not their way, it's not perfect. Or if it's not, completely, every I dotted, every T crossed, and, done to the nth degree, then it's not good enough. And if I'm honest, those people are hard on themselves first, but they're also very, very hard on the people around them. And it's just a warning that even though you have the same values and you want the same things, my sense of perfection might not be your sense of perfection. And therefore that can lead to angst, that can lead to, misunderstandings and headbutting and falling out with the people that really should be supporting you. Yes, my way or the highway. Yeah. Just because, we might be aligned and be on the same wavelength, but we're all individuals and we'll all do things just ever so slightly differently. So that's an area to watch carefully, so that you don't end up in a position where you are upsetting yourself, first of all, and of course, upsetting the people that you're working with, because you are trying to tell them step by step by step how they need to do the work and how you expect it to look, and and what they need to do first and what they need to do last, and it's become something that is no longer particularly enjoyable, that relationship. Just move on. And then the very interesting bit, which certainly makes it quite hard for people to even contemplate bringing anyone on board, it's the money side of things. Can I afford it? I've just started this business, or it's, or even though I've been going for a while, it's not, there's not a lot of money there. Where will how can I pay a salary, or how can I pay a fee, or whatever it is? And that is certainly something that I find that holds people back. I don't know whether there's anybody on the call now that would think that that's an area for them as well, that they're concerned about. You don't need to put it in the chat, but I suspect that it might be something that comes up. And I believe that it's really down to a way of thinking. We think of money in different ways, but typically we are taught to think about it as a cost. Anything we spend is a cost. It is something that we are losing as opposed to gaining, and we should be very, very careful with money. But there's a different way of thinking about money and spending money. You can think about it as an investment. And if you are able to see that same money that's going to go out of your business as an investment, then it really changes the whole game completely. I was recently told, if you're not making money in your business, it's just a hobby. Absolutely, yes, it's a hobby, and a very tiring hobby at that, because it's probably keeping you working all hours of the day and not giving you much return. So it's definitely not a business if you're not making money. It's just a hobby, and it's taking your time away from perhaps getting a job elsewhere. But this cost versus investment thing is interesting because it makes a big difference as to whether or not you feel ready to spend money bringing in a team or even just freelancers, or you sit and wait until you have some money sitting somewhere, and then you say, now I'm ready, now I've got some money to spend, now I can spend money on getting some staff in. The thing about thinking that you need to wait until you've got a certain pot of money before you can bring the right team in is that because you are trying to do everything yourself, you're very unlikely to have enough time to deliver enough value to have that money sitting there. It will be hand to mouth, and it'll be almost impossible to find a way out until you take the decision that this is something that you intend to grow beyond being a hobby. That thinking about, I must have the money before I spend the money, will hold the business back. I hear the saying, you need to speculate in order to accumulate. And it's absolutely true. If you don't take a bit of a risk, considered risk, but if you don't take that risk, then you can't expect a return. When you decide that you are going to bring people into your business and you are thinking about whether or not you can afford it, the mindset, the investment mindset will be thinking, okay, what will that buy me? I'm going to spend, I don't know, £100 a month on a bookkeeper. What will that buy me? And if you have already, remember in the early bit, we talked about working out where you spend your time. If you've already worked out where you spend your time, you'll probably find out that you're spending, I don't know, maybe half a day doing bookkeeping every month, or possibly even more, who knows? If you use that half a day on delivering to your clients or your customers, if what you do is you coach, or if what you do is social media, whatever it is you do that people would pay you for, if you use that half a day for what you would normally get paid for, I can promise you it will be more than the £100 that you were going to pay to a bookkeeper. And the reason is because they are doing their day job, they're doing what they're good at. Whereas when you're doing bookkeeping, you are learning it. And you don't want to be doing it, so it's even slower. And therefore, it doesn't make sense for you to think that you're saving £100 because you haven't spent it on a bookkeeper, but hold your business back, stop your business from having that extra half a day to deliver more value, which you would charge more for. I worked with a coach once who did her analysis of where she was spending her time. She was spending 10 hours a week on doing her own social media. She was spending exactly the same time, 10 hours a week on the coaching. And she was doing another 5 hours of admin. And on top of that, of course, there was networking, reading, training, everything. Her rates at the time was between 100 and 150 an hour for coaching. So she was, earning some money with the coaching, but she could have earned more. And we talked about it. We talked about the time she was spending on the social media. If she spent that time delivering coaching, what a difference it would make to the business. And she said, yeah, well, but I don't have those clients yet. So, well, and then we realized, or she realized, that she wouldn't have those clients until the marketing, that social media, was happening as effectively as it needs to be. And as we talked, she realized that actually, yeah, although she was doing the social media, she wasn't very good at it. So she made up her mind to invest in having somebody else do the social media for her. If I remember rightly, I think it was about £200 or £300 that she was paying to have somebody doing the social media for her a month. But by the end of 6 months, she had filled the 10 hours that she had now relinquished, that she had freed up. She had filled it with coaching clients because this person that she engaged with was so much better at her at social media. And therefore, the return on her £300 was, over £1,000. But before we had that conversation, she was just thinking about losing 200 or £300. She wasn't really appreciating what she was going to get in return. And that's a mindset that I think holds a lot of small business owners back. They're thinking more about cost as opposed to thinking about it as an investment and understanding what they can get back in return for their investment. It's scary, I wouldn't lie, it's definitely scary. And I'd be interested to know whether anybody has felt concerned about spending money on getting people into their business. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat, so I'll keep moving and you can add it in later when you're ready. The other bit about bringing people into the business is sometimes those people are not helpful. They can, they can be a member of team from hell. They have a poor attitude. They only see problems. They don't deliver what they promised. They then blame everybody, and you start to really not want to talk to them. I've just seen in the chat, Amanda, you're saying that you were concerned, but you realized that if you needed to grow, you need to invest. Absolutely, absolutely. You can worry about it, but until you take that step, then you can't grow the organization. But going back to the people that could hurt the business, we've all made that mistake. We've brought people into our business that we thought were the right fit, and we very soon afterwards start to be a tiny bit worried, and then within a couple of months we know that it's not working, and we're not quite sure what to do. I don't want to sound directive, but I will be directive. If it doesn't feel like it's working, it's best to very, very quickly take that decision and let them go. Because as a small business, you don't have the time or the money to keep spending on trying to fix something that is clearly not working. That's another piece of angst that people have about bringing people into the business. You really, nobody wants to sack anybody. But some people are better off in other organizations. And you really need to be watching quite carefully in the early days, whether or not the person that you believed had the same values as you and had the same goals as you is actually delivering to what they said. If they're not, then you really need to let go of them very quickly. A few things you can do, though, to try and avoid the problem is to start with what we talked about earlier, which is trying to ensure that they have the same values as you in terms of understanding what it is your business is about and what you are about. And they need to want your business to work. They need to be, an advocate for your business. And therefore, if they are an advocate for your business, then they would be, doing the things that would help the business move forwards. That's probably as far as you can go before you bring them into your business. Once they've come into the business, you will probably start to discover personality traits about them that might match yours, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just very, very different. Their ways of working, their ways of communicating, their ways of dealing with problems, is just very different to what yours are. And the other thing, though, is you get what you put in. Yes, you don't want to be spending your time micromanaging them, but you do want to understand who they are as an individual, what else is going on in their lives, what things might impact their ability to give their best. For instance, I had a client that was talking about one of their team members was dealing with a very, very sick relative, and therefore their performance at work dropped. They were able to give space and time and find ways to work with this member that had the sick relative because they knew about it. If they didn't know about it, all they would see is, oh, this person is, not doing what they said they would. And, they're just no good. They don't turn up on time, or they're late all the time, or and you'll just see that and you'll start getting angrier and more resentful and. But if you are getting to understand who they are and getting to know them as an individual, you'll have opportunities to know what else is going on outside of the working relationship. And you might find that you're able to make allowances or adjustments, so that they can still work and still do what they need to do outside of work. If that's the case, they will be so grateful that you'll find that they work even better than before they had the problems, just because they know that you're supporting them and you're helping them. But if you don't know about it, if you have no way of being approachable enough to know what else is going on in their life, then you have no way of building that bridge and dealing with those sorts of problems. And therefore they won't feel supported. They might even start to blame you as being a hard boss that's pushing them hard. But you don't know that they're coping with lots of other things. And all of a sudden you find that it's a tension relationship as opposed to a supportive relationship. That's not to say that there are people that just don't want to do stuff, but usually when people are not performing, there's a good reason behind it. And as a leader, it's on you to be close enough to try and understand what that might be. Anybody got anything that they might want to, any examples perhaps that they have heard of or have experienced about these personality issues that could get in the way? Yes, Amanda, do you want to share more?
Yes. Recently, I had an amazing lady. She was a very hard worker, but the nature of our business, you have to be a team player.
Mm.
And I noticed that there was a team of 5 of us, and what she would do would either not participate in talking with the group, or sneaking off to get things for herself and not the rest of the group, whereas the group would always include her and, you know, bless her as well. And there was other things that I noticed that were just not healthy. And I thought, how do I communicate that I really appreciate your work, you're a lovely lady, but this is not conducive to the well-being of the team? And I had to approach it from a place of her not wanting to sabotage herself in the future, and how if people see that she's saying one thing but her behavior is contrary to what she's saying, it can cause division within the team. So I spoke with her on Monday, praising her, thanking her, because she did work hard, and just saying to her, it was a value alignment situation here more than a personality alignment. And I explained to her that I want her to excel in the future. However, this behavior will not help her be seen as a valuable member of the team. And I want to help her overcome this behavior. And I said to her, feel free to decide what you want to do. And she came back about half an hour later in a message, and she took herself off our team, which I thought was very sad, because sometimes a difficult situation is an opportunity to grow.
Yes.
But if, you know, you can have the right personality alignment, but if the value is not there, then I don't think it can work.
And you're absolutely right. As a leader, you have to think about the whole team.
Yes.
And not let one individual, you know, sort of scupper that relationship that you guys have been building together.
Yes. So that's what I had to deal with just as recently as Monday.
Yeah.
No, but you.
It sounds like you did the right thing, and therefore they you know, this lady realized that she couldn't get away with her behavior. She not get away, maybe she realized that she didn't fit, that what she and decided that she didn't want to change, which is fair enough. Everybody wants to change.
Exactly, but I wanted to keep the friendship intact. I didn't want everything destroyed. So that's why I had to really think about, how do I approach this? And that was the way forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure she appreciated that.
She did. And she did say thank you. And she did say, you know, she doesn't feel that she's ready to be part of the team. So for now, she'll take a step back. And I said to her, thank you for being honest and transparent.
There we go. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I've sort of flown through most of the information that I wanted to share today. There are a few things in terms of resources that are in this slide. We will make sure we share these slides with you so that you can have these links as well. But we've got, you know, a few minutes yet, so quite happy to have a group conversation about things that people would have liked for me to cover that I haven't covered, or things that people think might be relevant and they want to share or ask.
I don't know, Ola, if you've had an opportunity to look at what I do on LinkedIn with my organisation called Female Dignity. And sorry, was you going to say something?
I haven't had a look yet, but I'd love to. Did you say Female Dignity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what we're doing at the moment to gain recognition and to scale up, we're doing a series of pop-up shops in different parts of the country. And we're looking to get a contract eventually where our products can be sold our eco-friendly feminine hygiene products can be sold. Because if a customer buys 3, we donate 1 to the local food bank or homeless shelter. That's the whole reason we set the company up the way that we did. So would you say that, you know, even we did our first pop-up at Primark last week, would you say that, and it's quite a bit of investment, doing these are one of the ways that hopefully a contract could be secured? Or is social media still just the only platform to, in the hope of someone seeing you and seeing your products and want to take you on board? Or is there anything else you think that we should be doing to create that awareness that people will buy our products?
So social media, you know, I wouldn't say stop that. I think you have to continue that, just because that's what people expect these days. When you talked about contracts, what types of organizations were you expecting to contract with?
One of the retail stores, or one of the like Primark department stores, or Asda or Sainsbury's, you know, because feminine hygiene products are sold in most places now. And so we're looking to get a contract with one of the supermarkets or an independent chemist or pharmacy chain, or, you know, one of those places. So we did a Primark pop-up last week, and we're waiting for feedback, you know, because again, people bought, and we were able to donate to the Newcastle area homeless outreach projects. We were able to donate, which was great. So my thing is like trying to get a contract with someone, because price-wise, we've been told we're in the right area. So there's no quibble about price. Eco-friendly and sustainability is a growing trend. So we know that we're in the right sea there. But it's like getting someone to say, yes, I like this. How do you get that yes?
Okay. It sounds to me like you're doing all the right things because you're testing what you're doing, and you're starting to see that people like what you're doing. However, it's still very passive. You know, you're waiting for somebody to come to you, and you have to go to them. You have to go to the right procurement team within these organizations that's interested in the sustainability aspect of what you're doing, and therefore are looking at you as something that they can, you know, promote in terms of their, you know, their support for sustainability. You know, obviously I don't know the names of the people in these organizations, but you will have to do a bit of digging, a bit of research to start to collate those names. And you can actually do a bit of that digging online via social media. So being very visible on social media, and then using those same social media to do your research into who the right buyers are, or procurement experts, who those people are. And then, you know, because you're already there, they can see what you're doing. They can feel that, yeah, that you're already on the right track. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. So we took a step last week with Primark, but you've said something there that I hadn't thought of. The eco-sustainable market.
Yes.
Go straight to that market, because at the moment we're going to a market that deals with non-eco.
Exactly.
Eco, so I need to go straight to the eco market to
yes. If you, because the traditional market is crowded, there's plenty of suppliers, you know, there's plenty of you know, you just get lost there. But if you talk about the sustainability bit and go straight to them,
yes,
you'll get more of an audience.
Thank you very much, Ola. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got a question or comment or contribution?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is correct about in terms of trying to find people as well. I suppose in some ways I'm always waiting for somebody to approach me rather than going to them to say that, you know, I think our downfall is like social media and, you know, getting somebody on board. But then it's like getting somebody that gets your ethos and can present, you know, your things and your products or whatever in the way that you would. Do you know what I mean? And that's difficult. I know that I'm not any good at social media, so, but it's like trying to get somebody to present it the way you would like it to be presented, you know. So I think I find it difficult, and then approaching people in that way to you know, to get the right people. But as you say, I suppose I will have to go out there and look and look to try and find these people. And it's like, where do you go to? I know that some people have directed me to Fiverr and things like that, but it's like, you know, I don't really like going on those sites and things. So, but
Well, yeah, yes and no. If what social media are you on at the moment?
well, although we've got links to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, there's nothing there really. But do you know
Okay.
what I mean? Because we've just got the links, we've just set them up, or should I say, I've just set them up um because I just do everything anyway. So it's like you just set them up, you do the website, you know, you just do everything. You're just involved in everything that you can't get involved in what you actually want to do, rather than doing all these administrative tasks that need to be done, you know, in order to proceed with what you love doing. So, and then it's trying to find the people, and then it's funding as well, you know. So it's like it's a kind of a knock-off effect, I suppose. And then you have to sort of take the chance as well, you know. Part of it's taking a chance, finding somebody that you know, as I said before, that has the same beliefs and ethos as you when it comes to, you know, the products that you supply. So
Yeah. What I find is that, you know, if you are at least saying a little bit about what it is you do, the especially in terms of social media anyway, you will be approached by people who want to help you. But before you actually sort of jump in with both feet in terms of, you know, bringing somebody on board, how much have you articulated in terms of why you're passionate about what you do and why you're different and why it's important? Because I think that is what you need to be able to share with anybody that you are wanting to work with. That needs to come across very clearly, and then you will see whether or not it resonates with them.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'll see that very, very quickly, and you can you know, give them assignments before you actually really engage with them. You can ask them to, you know, come back to you and just share why they think it's important, share what they think they would do. You could, yeah. So really, you know, get to know them a bit before you formally engage with them. And that will give you a lot more, well, certainty is not the word, but certainly assurance around whether or not they get you, they get what you're trying to do, and they are able to be on your wavelength.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the other thing, as you said, is not waiting until you can afford it.
Yeah. I'm afraid, yeah, I'm afraid that that is that little thing there about waiting till you can afford it holds so many businesses back. But the thing is, in a lot of cases, you'll never be able to afford it if you don't get some help.
Yes.
So it can be a bit of a, it can either be a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle. It's like, you know, if you put a bit in, you'll get more back. But until
Yeah.
you put something in, you can't get back.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. That definitely helps. And thanks for putting the resources.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Yeah, we'll also make sure we send that over as well, so you've got it, you know, to refer to later on. So,
excellent, thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? If anyone's speaking on mute, just remember to unmute yourself if you're speaking.
I just want to say thank you. You know, I've learned some things here today, so I want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Can I check how many of you are members of Melanin Ridge?
I am.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, I will be.
Okay, great. That's good as well.
I think my sister is. She's the one that sent me the link to this. Yeah.
Okay. Are there other types of training or other types of support that you would like Melanin Ridge to provide?
Aside from the training, can I just ask this, will you be having any physical networking meetings, Ola?
We will. If I'm honest, I can't tell you exactly when yet, but the plan is to start having physical networking sessions, probably once a quarter.
Okay.
We're just trying to build up the momentum, because you know how things are. If we look at today's event, for example, I think there's about, what, 6 of us here, about 20 registered. So, you know, when you put on a public event, you need to know that people will be there.
I think you need to, what you need to do actually as well, is that even if it's a small fee of £5 or £10, so that they commit, because otherwise people click on the link, all right, it's free, and then they don't bother to turn up. So
Yeah.
even if it's a couple of pounds to, do you know what I mean? Or even if it's a £5 to join, so that it's a commitment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
People don't turn up. Yeah, they click on it and say, yeah, this is a good idea, but when it comes to it, you know,
Then they're not here. Yes, indeed.
so I think
Yeah.
more of these, even if it's a couple of quid, you know, if you don't want to really charge, but say a £5, do you know what I mean? Then at least they've committed a £5 to join in, and then they're more likely to remember that they've paid for something, you know, of course, to come online.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. We're just trying to work out, because we've got a lot of people based on the continent, and the exchange rates are not very favorable. So we're trying to work out how to make it, you know, accessible, basically. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You're right. I think putting a price tag on it will help people actually realize, you know, the value. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, feedback? Anything else you'd like to see?
The links you put on there for the life coach, is that recommendations that you would recommend, or that you've
It's a directory. So they're, you know, most of them I don't know.
okay.
I'm on there. But
okay.
you know, it's you know, but it, you know, you see people's profiles and you can choose.
Yeah. Oh,
Who
okay.
you'd like to work with. Yeah. Yeah. And most of them should offer you an initial sort of taster session just to get to know you. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And of course, I'd love to coach you if you want it. So.
Well, that would be good. Yeah, I'd definitely like to get a template of your defining business. That would be good as well, please. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Okay. Let me make a note. And it's June, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions or suggestions? Okay, in which case, I'll just say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It was helpful.
Hi.
Go on, Rama.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. It's just a suggestion to the ones who have joined us today. If they can send a small write-up about their business, because Melanin Rich also offers support to our members. So if you can share a small write-up about your business, we will be really happy to help you guys and support you throughout your business.
Okay. Yes, we'll do. Thank you